One man's mission to confess his feelings. I stood outside the cafe, gazing up at the windows of the second-floor apartment. This was it. After months of agonizing over whether or not to confess my feelings, I had finally mustered up the courage to make a move. I checked my watch, and saw that it was just after 10 in the morning. She was probably still asleep. I took a deep breath and walked into the cafe, ordering a coffee to go. As I waited for it, I thought about what I was going to say. It had to be perfect. I had to express my feelings without overwhelming her. I had to convince her that we were meant to be together. I left the cafe and started walking towards her apartment. It was only a few blocks away, but it felt like an eternity. I tried to calm my nerves, but my heart was beating so fast that I could barely think straight. Finally, I arrived at her building. I took the elevator up to the second floor and walked down the hallway to her door. I hesitated for a moment before knocking. There was no answer. I knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. I dug my phone out of my pocket and sent her a text message. "Hey, it's me. Are you home?" After a few moments, my phone buzzed with a reply. "Sorry, I'm still in bed." "What's up?" I took another deep breath and replied, "I was wondering if you're free to talk later today. There's something I need to tell you." She replied almost immediately. "Sure, what time?" "Any time this afternoon works for me," I typed. "How about 2 p.m., she suggested. 2 p.m. it is, I replied, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. I spent the next few hours trying to distract myself, but my mind kept drifting back to the conversation I was going to have with her. I wanted to tell her how I felt, but I didn't want to scare her away. I had to be careful with my words. Finally, it was 2 p.m. I made my way back to her apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. I knocked on the door, and this time she answered. "Hey," she said, smiling at me. "Come on in." I stepped into her apartment, feeling a rush of warmth as I took in the familiar surroundings. We had spent so much time together over the past few months that her apartment had become a second home to me. We sat down on the couch, and I took a deep breath. "There's something I need to tell you," I said, feeling my palms start to sweat. She looked at me, her expression curious but guarded. "What is it?" "I don't know how to say this," I began, struggling to find the right words. "But I've been feeling something for you for a while now. And I just couldn't keep it to myself any longer." I took another deep breath, trying to steady my nerves. "I'm in love with you," I blurted out, before I could second-guess myself. For a moment, there was silence. She looked at me, her eyes wide with surprise. "You're what?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm in love with you," I repeated, my heart pounding in my chest. She looked down at her hands, and for a moment, I thought I had made a terrible mistake. But then she looked up at me again, her eyes bright with emotion. "I had no idea," she said, her voice shaking. I could feel my heart racing in my chest, unsure of what her response would be. She looked at me with a mix of surprise and confusion, as if she didn't know what to say. "I know it's a lot to take in," I said, feeling the need to break the silence. "But I had to tell you how I feel. I couldn't keep it to myself any longer." She continued to stare at me, her expression unreadable. My heart sank, feeling as if I had ruined our friendship and any chance we had of being together. Finally, she spoke. "I'm not sure what to say," she said softly. "I had no idea that you felt this way about me." I felt a pang of disappointment, but I knew I had to respect her feelings. "I understand if you don't feel the same way," I said, trying to hide the hurt in my voice. "I just wanted to be honest with you." She looked at me again, and this time her expression softened. "I appreciate your honesty," she said. "And I need some time to think about things." I nodded, feeling a sense of relief that she didn't outright reject me. Take all the time you need, I said, trying to sound as supportive as possible. We sat in silence for a few moments, before she spoke again. I'm glad that we talked about this, she said. But I need some space for now. I nodded again, feeling a sense of disappointment but also understanding. I understand, I said. Take all the time you need. I got up from the couch, feeling a sense of sadness wash over me. As I made my way towards the door, she called out to me. Hey, she said, causing me to turn back around. Thanks for telling me how you feel. It means a lot. I smiled weakly, feeling a glimmer of hope in my heart. No problem, I said. Take care of yourself. As I left her apartment, I couldn't help but wonder what the future held for us. Would we end up together, or would our friendship be forever changed? Only time would tell.